Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. We are going to look at a new feature of Geno TV today, Get Alert. The Get Alert feature will allow you to be alerted to a new video clip in what your favorite category is, or any category, or all categories. So you go to Get Alert, click on it with your finger here. You can choose your phone or your email or both, and then you pick your category. Libby, my show is on there. You can be alerted to whenever there's a new show, immediately, if not sooner. So isn't that cool? Very advanced technology we have here. So, on to other governmental activities then for my real show.
You bet.
This week at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, the board, this was really nice. Some wastewater treatment facility guys did a presentation to the New England Water Environment Association 2013 annual conference a couple weeks ago. They've developed some innovative way of utilizing brew waste from the brewery to use in mostly the winter months at the treatment plant to encourage the biological process, which isn't as active, I guess, in the winter as it is in the summer because of the flows. There's not as much flow. So they developed this thing, and they came in, and the DPW director, Kara Buzanowski, was there, and she introduced it, and David Gray was there, the treatment plant person, and talked a little bit about it. It was really cool. There's a video of them, which we're going to get on the town website. I don't think we have it up yet, but we're going to get it up there. So that was very cool. Let's see, what else we do? We had a municipal health insurance update. We are going to get the presentation, which is somewhere on my desk here, online. And basically there were several things we talked about. We talked about increases, rate increases. We are having to increase our appropriation somewhat for the next fiscal year and for the current fiscal year. We talked about the changes that were made under the Health Insurance Reform Act last year. We talked about the different components of our plan. We talked about mail order prescriptions versus buying your prescriptions at the retail level, things like that. It was a pretty comprehensive update. We subsequently got some questions the next day from employees about rate increases. Oh, our rates are going up. We don't know anything about it. Can you please explain? So it's pretty well explained in the presentation. Plus, we have a group that's established under Mass General Law called the Insurance Advisory Committee, which contains a specified number of union representatives. They are going to be more actively meeting to talk about issues like this. They did have a meeting on Wednesday afternoon. I don't think everybody showed up, though. There seems to be a little bit of confusion about who's on it and are they still active, and so we'll get that cleared up, but rates will be going up for the plans for not only the town but the employees. But remember, the town pays the bulk of the health insurance. We have two plans. One is paid for 90% by the town, 10% by the employees. The other is paid for 80% by the town, 20% by the employees. So in a lot of other towns, you find a much larger portion being paid by the employees. Some are 50-50, but most are probably generally between 70 and 80. So 90-10 plans are really phasing out. Anyway, we had some talk about future issues as well with health insurance. We also did some refunding of bonds from 2004 and 2005, which saves the town some money in debt service going forward. Thank you to the treasurer, Deb Weiner, for getting on top of that. We had a request from the noise bylaw, a waiver from the noise bylaw for an event at the oldest house on June 25th. Rain date is June 26th. It was all very sort of hush-hush. It's a private event happening, and they don't want us to know who they are. That's fine. We don't have to know who they are. Anyway, that was approved. We also the board approved the expansion of serving hours at Jetty's Beach Restaurant. Last year, they came in and asked for an extension of hours from I think they were closing at 10 before. They wanted to close at 11. They did that all of last summer. We had one complaint, which turned out to be a noise complaint that was not substantiated, as I'm not even sure it came from Jetties, the basis of the complaint. And anyway, the board approved the continuation of the hours, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at Jetties. We had a bunch of real estate issues. I won't go over those. We approved a private shellfish aquaculture license for 4 acres in the head of the harbor. There are several of these up there. We had 3 telephone petitions. We had a liquor license alteration of premises thing for the Nantucket Yacht Club. We had a transfer of license and change of manager for the Cellar. It's a seasonal package store on Surfside Road. Actually, it's on Windy Way, 1A Windy Way, but you see it from Surfside Road. We also had a review of other post-employment benefits trust funds, OPEB trust funds. This tends to make people's eyes totally glaze over, including mine sometimes, but other post-employment benefits are basically health insurance benefits for retirees. And lots of towns are, right now, cities and towns are not required to fund these benefits. However, you are required to identify what your liability is for them. So all the towns have to do actuarials every couple of years to determine the liability. Ours is well into the tens of millions of dollars. I forget exactly what it is, 59 million or something like that. In any case, there's been some questions lately about how OPEB trust funds work, because what more and more towns are starting to do is put some money into a trust fund, even though it is not required, but it helps your bond rating and it helps to lower your unfunded liability for the future. So there were questions about how it works. How does the money come out? When does it come out? How does it get in? Things like that. So we had a brief review of that. We also talked about revised personnel policies for non-union employees, and the board adopted those policies. They'll be put on the website and sent around to departments. And I showed the board my new town manager website, which we've been talking about for months. We finally got it up. Should we take a quick tour?
Sure.
Or should we just tell people?
Yeah, just tell us about it.
I'll show you really quick. Really quick.
Okay.
Or should we just, what do you think?
Well, you could either leave it there.
I'll leave it here.
Leave it there.
And you can look at it later.
Can you turn, I can turn it now. I'll come around and get it.
Okay.
You know, so that way you could just talk about it and I'll remember what you're doing.
Okay.
Right, go ahead.
The site is www.nantuckettownmanager.org, all one word. And what we've got on here is sort of an intro of town management. We have recently asked questions. We have project updates. The content is a little sparse right now, but we wanted to get something up with some current questions that are going on about different things. And if people have suggestions, if you would like some questions answered, feel free to email them and we'll try to get them up. It's not really so much of an interactive site right now. It's more information goes up there. You can email us though and ask questions, and if it's appropriate, we'll put it on our recently asked questions list.
Or you could answer it here.
Or I can answer it here. So that was exciting. We had an open meeting law complaint filed by an individual recently against the Board of Selectmen and the town manager regarding a taxi hearing that was scheduled. It was actually scheduled perfectly routinely, but the individual had a complaint nonetheless. So what's required under the open meeting law is when you get a complaint, there's a very specific procedure about how you deal with it. And one of the things you need to do is respond within a certain amount of time. So the board reviewed a draft response to the complaint and approved it. Oh yes, the other thing we did was, a week or two ago, we had some discussion about the Nantucket Community Sailing License for some town-owned land at Pulpus Harbor off Walwinet Road. And to make a long story short, there are deed restrictions associated with this town-owned piece of property that, quite honestly, no one has really been paying much attention to until recently. One of the deed restrictions requires the establishment of a kind of advisory group composed of specific people to regularly meet and look at the site and make sure it's being taken care of properly, things like that. So the specific people, I don't have the list here, but it's somebody from the DPW, somebody from the board, somebody from the Conservation Commission. I think it's somebody from the Conservation Foundation, which is the group that ultimately the land came through that group. And the board pretty much said, okay, we're going to establish the group, and we're going to add a couple of people to it, somebody from Community Sailing and somebody from the Pulpus Homeowners Association. So we'll get those names, and the group will get meeting. Mr. DaCosta gave us an update about taxi fares. The board has voted to amend the taxi regulations to require meters, and they've been meeting. He and a couple of other people have been meeting with the taxi community, I guess I would call it, about what the sort of fare structure should be for the meter. So they've had 2 meetings so far. They had another one today, and I think we're hoping to get something on the agenda for early March, first 1 or 2 weeks of March.
And that's when people can come and voice their opinion on how much they feel the price should be.
They can.
Right?
Yep, they can. That's right.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much what we did at the board meeting. We do not have a board meeting on February 27th. And we'll take up again on March 6th. And Finance Committee is going with their development of their motions to the town meeting warrant articles. They are not meeting next week. They will start meeting again on March 5th. And that first week of March and the second week of March, the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom will wrap up their motions and comments to the warrant. The warrant will get sent to the printer. I think it's at the end of the second week of March, mailed out, and town meeting is right around the corner. Starts on Tuesday, April 2nd. The warrant will be mailed to registered voters, and it will be posted on the website. So there's plenty of areas where you can get it. And mark your calendar for a town meeting, Tuesday, April 2nd, 6 o'clock.
And
High School Auditorium.
When's the election?
The election is the following Tuesday, the 9th, the annual town election. So, mark your calendar for that, too.
Okay.
So, Gino, I think that's it.
Yep.
We won't be around next week, so see you the week after. Okay.
You bet.
Thanks.